podcast, joined with Craig Sager, break down the final matchups, talk a little bit about the semifinal round, and then get into top performers. Also, ball. Did the committee get it right with the top four teams that they got? Talk ball, a little bit about the Chiefs, a little about the Bengals, and top player, top of the game right now. But Greg, how you feel?
A little bit about.
Yeah.
Well, good. Did a bunch of laundry yesterday, and I just got to put it up.
So. That's it. I hear you on that. So, what was your biggest result from the semifinal round that just stood out to you?
In terms of a shocking result, it was kind of Woodward Academy. The run they've had, thought they beat a really good Douglas County team. And the way they won, being down, chipping back in with the field goals and having the big play at the end, that's just very intriguing. I think that when I look at these finals matchups, which one do I think is guaranteed to be a game? I think it's 6A. I think Woodward Thomas County Central is going to right into the final play.
Interesting. Okay. That's a really interesting game. Two really good defenses as well. Got to see Thomas County Central. So speaking of, you were at the game. What was your takeaways from that one, up close and personal, seeing Marist and Thomas County Central? What impressed you the most?
Thought with Thomas County Central, they got great size of the quarterback position, tight end, some big playmakers. I like the game plan that they had in there. Marist to see a very tough team to stop offensively and the pitch at any play. But what Coach Rogers said, as long as we stopped them in the middle of the field, he felt confident that they had the speed. That was the thing that got Roswell in the big Marist win. They beat him with the pitch. So they shut down the middle, they clogged those lanes, and then Marist wasn't able to break anything outside. They had a ton of TFLs. Anytime they Marist into a pass situation, it was difficult for them to get successful plays. I thought Marist had a bunch of chances in the game with the turnovers in the second half. But Thomas County Central held on, and their defense played outstanding. For them to have those two years in their own territory and for Marist to come up with, that's crazy.
And it's kind of like an old-fashioned kind of game, but defensive. Every possession matters because you don't know how many possessions you're going to get. Like, how did it feel?
Absolutely. So I can't remember a game like that where every possession is so important. The two teams, I mean, the first quarter's over in a blink. Second quarter's over in a blink. It's all of a sudden it's the fourth. But from the start, every single possession was so important. And then within the possession, every play is neither team wanted to get into a third and long situation. Points were obviously going to be at a premium with a team like Thomas County Central that long. Not going to put up big yards offensively, but they've trusted their defense. And so as they got the lead, you could tell it was just going to be about them trying to keep Marist out of the end zone. And Coach Chadwick said before, against Roswell, it was about stopping their offense. Against Thomas County Central, it would be how are they going to get enough points to win against that great defense? They were unable to, and they had opportunities. So thought it was a great game. I respect Rusty afterwards because he was aware of the history of this series. He had seen some of the big matchups in the 1990s, early 2000s. He said, as it was, he said it was probably so. It was a great rivalry. You felt the historic implications. I think the biggest is the crowd that Thomas County Central brought. I mean, it was thousands of people. It was loud. Every single play, the horns, that unbelievable.
Yeah, it definitely was. I think my next big win against Cartersville, pretty hostile environment. You went to a game earlier this year. That environment is definitely very unique, but I thought, they at another level, right? 33-18 victory. I think they have 5 shutouts so far this season. But they've been playing some really good football, and I don't know. I think Coffee's the favorite right now, but just going on the road and beating Cartersville there, I mean, that team has been next level all year.
Yeah. Of all the games, they probably jumped out to the biggest lead, like 31-7, then just held them off. They're going to be very tough, and what's interesting about this, they've never won a state title before. And We had Coach Coe on talking about how important that was, and I think they're just playing really well. I mean, defensively, all the shutouts they've had. I mean, it's just a very dangerous team. Obviously, against side, it's going to be another great matchup.
They also have never had an undefeated history as well. I looked that up and researched that. They got a chance for both a state championship, defeated season in program history. So
yeah, and it's a year where South Georgia hasn't had as much success as typical seasons. They're kind of the standard bearer right now.
Thomas County, for sure. And I think the next one for me is God's big win against Jefferson. I know Sammy Brown went down, but they were down 14-0 at one point, being able to kind of their way back into the game a little bit of his best football, I think, very underrated. As well as Shane Kelly, who we mentioned on our standout performance from last week. But I thought that winning against Jefferson, who was one of the favorites out in 5A, being able to win that game at home and come back against the wall and being able to compete and stay in the game, I think was big.
Yeah, and I think with their season, they challenged themselves early. They played a team out of New Jersey at Morehouse. They went to California. They beat Warner Robins. They've had such a schedule. I think now that they're over to just kind of put that behind them, focus, and ready for this game, I think it's going to be a performance by them. And obviously they have a tough opponent, but I think the win's huge in getting this finals matchup. It's out. It's been a great
100%. And my last one is the Bowden's big win against Schleicher. There's a rematch. Definitely was a tough game. He tried multiple times in this game, but was able to get that last score right before. We know how good Schleicher County is. Carson Westbrook, Zayden Walker, all the talent that they have on that team, kind of come back and be right back where you were last year, winning it all for Bowden, back in the championship.
Impressive, that heartbreaker for Schleicher County, but yeah, they got after it. And mine is obviously going to be the Stockbridge win over Benedictine.
Yeah.
What else can you say about Jaden Duke Smith? I mean, his numbers this season, 38 touchdowns, and he did what other player has done against Benedictine probably ever. He's busting 80-yard, 60-yard, 50-yard touchdowns.
Yeah. I mean, he's level. Yeah, that's NC State committed, 100% right. I mean, that was not easy to do, but that environment for Benedictine, and we talked about Bryce the week before, and obviously how good Luke is, but that's a big win. I think that's a win for that program as they try to win a state championship against Perry. But being able to do that and being able to lean on a ground game with obviously a Jaden Duke Scott, I think
he's an absolute touchdown machine. And I said Smith, it's Scott. You're right. But for him, he's averaging about 180, 186 rushing yards per game. That Stockbridge offense is at 300 rushing yards per game. And, I mean, it's just the big runs he's able to – he's had a 99 this season. But doing that against a Benedictine defense that's so good against the run, that's a big deal because you knew going into that matchup, okay, the key's going to be stopping him.
Yep.
Gave him the rock. It did not matter.
And sometimes, and I think as a defense, that's demoralizing, right?
Yes,
you know what
absolutely.
the team wants to do, but you still can't stop it. That's why the game is always important. I know we're in more of a passing league now, but when you know what a team wants to do in their identity and you can't stop it, that is just demoralizing and frustrating as a defender.
Yep, and it's going to be a really great matchup we'll talk about. But against Perry, you got Duke with 38 rushing touchdowns, and you got Ahmad with 31. I think the difference is, though, Perry has a more balance. They are great at passing the ball. Got some big-time receivers, but they just feed Ahmad in the red zone. He's kind of the finisher of these drives, where I think Duke, I mean, he can the big runs throughout the game, start to finish.
100. But that's all I got as far as results. Did you have any other big ones, Craig, that you've seen?
Well, we'll talk about, but I think 2A is really interesting. Pierce County and Rockmart, two great wins. I think two of the hottest teams in the state right now.
100%. Yep. We'll get into it in a second. Go to our semifinal standout performance, Craig. I'll start with you. One of the breakout performances that you thought was lead your team to victory to get to the state championship.
Well, I'll go with Jeremy Hecklinski because I think you'll have another one from that game, but just impressed. The way he responded to his first bad quarter of the game or of the season. He just used to he's the best. I mean, even when he has mistakes, he'll trust in his right back up where he leaves off, and 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Not a bad day.
It's not a bad. I think you brought up a great point right there, Jeremy. He could have definitely wilted in that moment. 21-17, the was all against pick six. His team right back down the field, big score, go up 11, lean on the defense for another big score and put the game away.
Yeah.
So definitely,
and he took a big shot in that game right in the stomach. Had to come out of play, went right back in there, did not even hesitate, missed one play. So it was the equivalent of like losing your helmet where you're forced to come out of play.
Yeah.
Obviously, he had to go out. He took his chest protector, the rules, but he went right back out there.
We got an interesting stat on Jeremy, but I'll share that a little bit later about the matchup. But mine is from the same game. Got to be Hunter too. Magnificent, right? We talked about that pick six, but they're that resolve and not under that pressure, right? He was big on that drive. He had 2 catches, and he had the touchdown as well. 6 catches, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns. That was a big game for him. Outstanding play, obviously, by Hunter Till. I think he was magnificent so far this season. 848 yards, 15 touchdowns. He leads Walton in touchdowns.
Yes,
that includes Cam Lloyd, who's been electric as a wide receiver. But I think that game right there, and as they mentioned, and Jeremy did on the post game, it's kind of like the Travis Kelce of that offense. And I know that it was like he kind of has that gunslinger like Patrick Mahomes is. If you guys didn't know about Jeremy, one of his favorite players is actually Patrick Mahomes. So that kind of talks about the resemblance there. But yeah, Hunter Till, his performance was magnificent. He was a go-to player, and like I said, that's what makes Walton so tough to go. But then you got a guy over the middle of the field that can make big plays too.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about Milton for a second because Coach Reeves, he had a tweet yesterday I thought was very interesting. And I think he has meant, but he was talking about this Milton offense that we know is more pass-oriented than in years past. They can still, but there's no questions about it. They pass attempts. He said, we have the best receiver core in the state. So I think that's the storyline. I mean, those guys are going to have to prove it against Walton. We know what they're going to do. Can they win those matchups against Van Bride? Can they spark these big plays? I think it's going to be out, but I think that's the big is that does Milton possess the best receiving core in the state? And the way their guys are playing this year and how pass oriented they are, I don't remember a team that I've seen get to the finals is ball like this without a steady run game, without that aspect. You're just going out there and kind of air raid stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my take on that in a little bit, but yeah, I agree with you. That's gonna be obviously to watch. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I got a bold prediction there of a game that we a couple years ago. I think will be reminiscent in that state championship game. But my next go Fred Brown of Coffee, rushing yards and 2 touchdowns in a big win against Cartersville. That's magnificent performance. They lean on him a lot. 2,000 plus rushing this year. I mean, he's getting it done, man, and that's how you come up big on the road. 4 yards for 206 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's my standout performer from this week.
Yep, doing his thing. I'm going to go with Perry quarterback Coulter. Impressive performance. And, yeah, some quarterbacks have had bigger numbers, but he was 20 of 30, 382 touchdowns. Basically just played a perfect game. Didn't make the mistakes, led them down the field. There were so many changes. A funny stat I saw, you mentioned Bowden, there were 7 lead changes in that game. It's insane. And so there were a ton in the Perry Stars Mill. They went 28-24, really close game. He had 2 receivers go for over 100 yards. They were bounced. They did exactly what they needed to come away with another impressive victory. I mean, they had the 7-3 one over Bainbridge. Beat you in a lot of different ways, but Cole paired up with Ahmad in the backfield. It's a very balanced offense, and I thought they outstanding in the semis.
Yeah, interestingly enough, back to your point, they actually were down twice in that game by double digits, and they were able to kind of the storm there and able to get back into the game. Really impressive by them. Coach was actually one of mine as well. I did want to mention Craig brought him up in his line. He actually just received the PW third walk on Georgia, so obviously had their eye on him. That is pretty impressive. We'll see if he decides to go that route, but he just received that actually yesterday. So Georgia PWO, yep.
Interesting. So, but I think Georgia had it and some others. They Preseason, he was uncommitted quarterback in the state. I mean, he's 6'4". He's doing his thing. When healthy, they're undefeated this season.
Yeah, 100%. Next one, I got to go. Duke Scott, 310 yards, rushing downs, big time win at home against Benedictine. That's not easy to do, but he has been a force. The NC State can be a phenomenal year. I think he's one of the best running backs in the state, regardless of classification. He's definitely in that conversation. He wins my standout performer from this week.
Yep, I got another one, Aaron Philo.
You took mine.
So it's so incredible because when they had that bye the first round, I know most programs wouldn't be thinking about that. They'd be happy they advanced, but he wants to break that all-time career passing yards record. And so he put up, 23 of 31, 490, 4 touchdowns. Now he's 101 yards away, which is like below his average. So he has a chance to win title after replacing their top 3 receivers from last year and set the all-time record. And it's because of the big-time performances he's had in these last 3 rounds.
Yep, and get a chance to pass Trevor Lawrence. So that is no easy feat there, but this is their time in the state final. So they're doing something right over there in Prince Avenue Christian. So phenomenal performance of Prince Avenue Christian. I got to get some in Hudson Hill. He's my final one standout performer. 5 catches, 168 yards, 2 touchdowns. Biggest question going into the season, Craig. They lost 3 1,000 yards. Bailey, Josh Britt. How will they replace that? That was me and yours biggest question. Or will they take a step back? They have not taken a step back. They've been firing on all cylinders. And as you mentioned, Follow has a chance to set that record that was held by Trevor Lawrence for a while now. And, I mean, they're doing it with a freshman receiver, Hudson Hill, who had a big game, and the other youngsters have been stepping up.
I forgot about that freshman. Yeah, what a season he's had.
Yes.
Oh, man. I've got one more, though. Got to give a shout-out to E.J. Colson. I thought his stat line was interesting because he did it with his legs. It was a game where Cedar Grove's deep up a lot of passing yards, but they held Calvary to just 43 rushing yards, most of them on that big run by Merklinger. But E.J. Colson, he moved the chains. He kept him in front the entire time, made plays with his legs, made plays with his arm, beat potentially the biggest test in the way of Cedar Grove this season. Extremely clutch.
Yep.
That is an outstanding win for Cedar Grove.
100%. What's going on, Jordan? But I 100% agree. A win for them. That's going to be good for the confidence. And now for Cedar Grove, you're back where you got a phantom call, and now you get a chance to win it all, overcome what you did last year, and you're going to bring back a lot of this team. Right, you're going to have E.J. Colson back next year. You're going to have Bo Walker back next year. You're going to have Devin Carter back next year. So a lot of this core team going to be coming back. They get experience, and they're going to know what it takes to win. Now, next year, you'll see their defensively.
Yeah, it's an incredible story. It really is for them to the way they had. And then this season, I mean, you talk about a team that's battled adversity. They 100% have, but I mean, that was a big win. Calvary gave everything in the tank.
Just came up short, unfortunately, but we're going to keep it rolling. We got to see who came out on top in the semifinal predictions. Craig, how did you fare? I did write it down, so I do got my list here to see.
I missed both in 6A. I picked up, we did, would have been 7A through 3A. So that is what, 14 total?
I think so. I went 7 and 4, so 11 total.
Okay.
Yeah. So what else? I mean, I know you took Perry actually. Got that one right. I took Stars Mill.
I picked Stockbridge, didn't I?
I think you picked Stockbridge. Yep, I did too.
I think the ones I missed.
You missed Grayson. You took Grayson. Yeah, you did. I convinced you. Yeah, you switched. You took Maris. Okay, so you lost the Maris one. You obviously took Walton. Harvard. Yeah, I think you only missed what, like 2?
No, I missed both 6A and then I missed both in 3A. I missed 4.
Okay, so about the same record, y'all. We both went about 7 and 4. So a couple I missed on Carver Columbus. I missed on Stars Mill, and I missed on Douglas County. So those are the ones I got wrong.
Yep. No, we tied.
Yep. And enough. I thought you definitely had won this one. But yeah, those were our picks last week. Was a lot of fun. We're actually gonna do Class A Division 1, Class A Division 2 today, and then we'll go in more detail next week because that's basically when it is. So Class A Division 1, Class A Division 2 is Monday. Tuesday and Wednesday so Tuesday is when we're going to actually talk about those games and give our predictions, but we'll break down a couple of them today. But that is how we fared in that. And I did want to bring up, actually, believe this or not, make this bold take here. Y'all can bookmark this. Hecklinski is second in the state in passing yards. I don't know if you knew that. 3,711. Luke Nickel is third in the state passing yards. 3,709 yards. Right behind them. And speaking of that great receiving, Milton, CJ Wiley is first in the state in receiving yards, 1,428. And Cam Lloyd is right behind him at 1,334 yards. And a quick update on Cam Lloyd, actually just has a strain in the shoulder. And he's actually going to play in the state championship. That is some news. If you're interested, he did hurt his shoulder in the GPB game against Camden County. He will be playing in the state championship. There's an update there as well. But Craig, and my bold take is, I think this game is going to be eerily reminiscent of the Corky Kell Classic when Walton Creek and it went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's going to be which defense gets the stop. Now, no disrespect. I think both defenses are good. I just think the offenses are going to be able to fill it up. I think that it's going to be which defense can get the turnover, the either interception or fumble, but I think it's going to be eerily reminiscent of that game.
I 100% agree. And I think it's not even going to be a game where, is the defense going to be able to have a goal line stand? It's going to be scoring.
Yeah.
Like straight up. The play design, there's too many weapons. Obviously, Walton has a better rushing. There's no questions asked.
Yep.
But I do think Milton's going to be able to pass the ball very well.
Yep.
And Luke Nickel, is he going to be able to pick up legs? We'll obviously be watching for that. He's done that extremely well in the playoffs. Big time against Colquitt, time against Grayson.
I think the most impressive part of that is I was impressed with how many points they put up against a really good Grayson. 45, and a week before Buford struggled. They only put up 14, right? So I think that goes to show, as you said, just how good the offense is. So, like I said, it's an interesting battle. Coach Reed, best receiving things in the state. I can't really disagree. I think it's right up. I think Walton, if you both, right? Hunter Till, Cam Lloyd, you put in Jordan Van Bryant, and you put Sonderman. So that's interesting. So which secondary thing can really in the really elite area of Milton kind of Walton receivers, and then they receiving core look, because you look at CJ Wiley, he's a good 6'5", and he's a deep threat, right? So will Ben Bryant kind of follow him, or where will Coach in the defense they run a little bit more zone? It's what you think about it.
So let's think about the Carrollton game, because obviously Carrollton had a ton of success offensively too.
Yep.
They have a better run game, in my opinion, with Kamari Farmer, but they did a good job at applying pressure on Juju. Put him in the pocket. They came up with Forrest and Kruger came up. When you're focused on Wendell Gregory and Oakway and Ashton Woods coming in from the linebacker, you have to account for George too. He can.
Yep.
So how much pressure are they going to try to put on them? I don't think really force Milton to try to run, because if they do that, you're just giving them too much time to pass.
Yep.
So they're going to have to find a way to be aggressive. Maybe look at the film, it's like a situation where you're playing basketball and you're like, you know what? He's really good when he goes to his right.
Yeah, let's force him left.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they've seen something. I think it's over every stone.
I mean, you have to. Is they have to turn over every stone. And back to the running game point, you brought up a good point. Did you know that Austin Williams and McCarty Bonifant have 1,000-yard rushing seasons?
Yeah, it's been in.
So that's going to be, that brings up that other, right? AJ and Hendon Tumania, Corey Stewart, Jack Lawson, right? That's what Walton wants. Why Walton is so good. It's not just one centric. They're not pass centric. They're not run centric. They can do both. So it's going to be, I think, going to be the test is how will they front seven, which is really good at Milton. How will it match up against Walton, right? Obviously, Jeremy can do it. If they're one-dimensional, it makes it tougher. The downs are more important. If you can get Walton in third, make them balls tougher, right? Tighter window. and they have an elite secondary. So it's interesting. That's going to be one of the tests early on.
100%. Another thing that you say this in every game, but it's so true. Walton cannot turn them. Milton knows how to produce these turnovers, and it's not just interceptions on like gambled throws or 50-50 balls. No, they can produce these turnovers. Walton has had a lot of fumbles this year. I think every time I've watched Walton this season, it seems like they've gotten the ball first. And teams keep making this damn mistake. They're like, oh, we'll defer, then behind.
Yeah.
Milton might, regardless they win not on the toss, try to strike first.
Yeah. Get that advantage, right?
Maybe you can close out the half with a point and try to build at least a 10-point lead. I think it's foolish in wanting the ball first.
I think you're playing right from behind, and I think the key is too. We've seen it like those.
Grayson did it in the opener. It's like
mistakes, right against Camden County. So that, like you just said, back to your point, for football, right? Milton's gonna make you pay. Like they're gonna get back in the game, so they can get to a fast start. Walton can 21-0, but if you get a couple turnovers, some fumbles. This is a team like Milton you don't want to keep because they're going to make you pay. We've seen that against Colquitt County, right? They went down double digits early, but they got back in the game with their defense, and they scored on those possessions when they got.
We saw against Carrollton, said he wanted his team to get 6 stops throughout the game. They got 5, won easily. I think it's the same sort of thing. Can their defense get 5 stops throughout the game?
Yep.
It's be tough to do. You aren't going to win every possession, but I mean, you're probably even going to give up some big plays in this game. But if you can buckle down and have a good series where you force them with third and longer penalties, or you got to at least get 5 stops. And same thing with Milton. They're going to have to stop.
Yeah, 100%. We're going to find out. So let's go and make some championship predictions, right? We're going to do the other ones. So we just mentioned that, guys. We're going to do the other ones next week, right? But we want to talk Class A, Division I, Division II to wrap up segment, and obviously we'll do a tell of the tape. A little bit about Craig Bowden, Manchester. Manchester has a really good defensive line. Just Terry, some really good recruits. They've been playing well, picked up some wins against Clinch County. But what does Manchester need to do in this game to kind of win, and who are you taking?
I'm going to Bowden in this one, and I think it's because last year Bowden was so experienced up front. They basically didn't get stopped the entire game, and the ball drove down the field every single time. This year, because they've had to replace some pieces on the offensive line, they've had to pass the ball a little bit more, become a more balanced offense. So I really like the way they've adapted. They still have the identity up front to run. Their offense production hasn't gone down. They've won a lot of close games. So I think Bowden, I think they're the favorite. I think they just beat the number 1 team in Class A Division I in Slide County, definitely the best offense. So I think they're the favorites.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go against the favorite. I'm going to go Manchester. I do like Bowden. I think they have a really great team. Coach Finley does an outstanding job with the team, but I think Manchester is going to be enough. I like their defensive. I think they're going to be able to get the stops and do in order to come out top with a win. So I'm going Manchester, but crowded. So
and it was a close game in the season opener, and Manchester won 21-20.
That's going to be interesting.
Yep. So it was close early in the season.
This next one, I've been back and forth, Craig. I'm not going to lie. Swainsboro and Prince Avenue Christian. I really like the Swainsboro team. I know they're very deep, very talented. Back and forth on this one between these two. But who are you rolling with in this major matchup?
I've got Prince Ave. Easy pick for me.
Easy pick for you?
Yep. I think with their quarterback's going to be playing both sides of the ball. I mean, that is just tough to do. It really is. And we saw last year they ran out of steam in that second half.
They sure did. I'm rolling too. I think just offensively, man, they're a tough beat. Their offensive coordinator does a good job getting the ball to their weapons, getting them out in space, and allowing them to do their thing, man. And they're one of the better quarterbacks in the state. Doesn't always get that love he deserves, but, I mean, like you said, he's 301 yards away from the record. So I think he sets the record. I think they have a big game. was it second consecutive championship?
Yep.
Yeah.
And third all time.
Third all time, yeah. I think
Yeah.
they do it.
They have been beaten this year. They got beat by a team that literally just was able to run the ball 40 times for like 350 yards. That's not really Waynesboro style. Yeah, they're going to need to control the ball and have a game plan. I just think Aaron Philo, that offense has just been unstoppable.
Yeah, 100%. But that's our predictions. Is there any more before we move on? Is there any to break down today before we move on next week?
Let's talk about 2A and just Pierce County and Caden McGatha, because that's one of the previews you're writing.
Yep.
Just to put in perspective, like his impact season in the last 2 rounds, his volume of touches, it doesn't compare to any other team.
No, it doesn't. Hopefully he doesn't play both sides of the ball. Hopefully he just plays one. But I mean, they use him a lot. He was used on 53 of the 55 plays in the final win. So he does, but obviously he can handle the 328 yards and 5 touchdowns. So that tells me they're running a lot of read option, a lot of QB design runs for him. And he's been able to do it. So that's going to be a prime player to watch. And now when against Pierce County has a pretty good defense. So, excuse me, I think it's going to be interesting. I think if Pierce County, you got to be able to stop the run. It's going to be key. You can't let them get in a rhythm. You can't let them do what they need to do. So I think that's going to be crucial.
Yeah. I mean, so last win, the one of Gerald, 8 of 13 passing. So despite the ball every single time, he's taking up to 40 carries. And I mean, that's just incredible endurance.
Yeah.
He's been doing it week after week. And I'm glad to see him. I think Rockmart also a high-powered offense.
Yep.
They're a little more air-oriented, but just to see a player that is going to have that much on his shoulders in that game, I'm excited for it. I think Pierce County, I'm picking them to win.
Picking Pierce County?
Yep.
That's a bold one. I'm not going to make my prediction yet, but y'all stay tuned for that. Yeah, I'll wait a little bit after that one, but I think that's going to be interesting. But without further ado, we supporter and a fan actually hit us up for underrated player to tell the tape. He said he's underrated and overlooked. You know what that means. He's watching our show. Without further ado, we're going to go ahead and pull it up. This is Griffin Tully from Blessed Trinity. So me and Craig is going to break down his film and talk a little bit about it. So let's go ahead and see now. So we're going to share this up for y'all. All right. So here he is right here. He plays wide receiver and he plays free safety as well. So plays with one of the better teams in the state this year. All right, let's see. See, you don't have his number. I think he's right there. Here it is. We haven't really seen the one that's in circle, but he is playing free safety right here. It looks like probably a cover 3. Good job seeing him up field. Tight end right here. Good nice PBU. Play. I mean, we'll roll that again. And guys, you can see center field right here. This is a cover 3. Right, one safety in the middle of the field. They're gonna back. Let's see this middle linebacker right here is gonna come right here, as you see right there. But good job with a PBU.
No chance.
Yeah, no chance. I'm just being the defender right there. Okay, here he is right here. You're gonna be on the outside using his hands down on the ball right there. That's excellent cover. Doing a phenomenal job. Okay, here he is here. I like this play. I know it won't show a lot on the film, but to be able to come, I mean, you're right here, and to be able to come all the way across the field and limit this gain, I think is incredible. So watch where he comes, guys. I'm going to roll it right here. Okay, so here's the receiver. Look how much ground he makes up. Boom. Okay, so he's right here. This is a free release as well. Going to get all the way over to the middle of the field. Make up some good ground. Yeah. That could have been an even bigger gain. So I thought that stood out to me as well. Good job by Tully right there.
It's against Gainesville.
Mm-hmm. Big game right here. He's in his middle of the field. It's Baxter right.
He did a really good job reading that play.
Yes. That he watches his film, so that was excellent. Boom, here it is. Love that. Good job getting to the football right there, allowing the touchdown. Right here he is again, center field. Love that. Now that should be a catch. Yeah, we're gonna roll that again, Craig. Let's look at that. All right, so y'all look at this. Okay, so two to the left, two to the right. Okay, so center field. Yes. So this is look at this receiver right here. Go and see him. He's gonna wheel around. So it's a great design. Confused defense. Look at him. No, not get confused by this like rub route. Look at him close on that ball. I love that, Craig. That was great.
Clutch.
Yeah. So I love his coverage skills already. That's a part that stands out to me.
Forced fumble there.
Big time. Getting his helmet in there. Playing center field again. Here he is. Good job, PBU. Just knows how to dislodge the football. I think one thing you can't teach, Greg, you can't teach closing speed.
Nope.
All right, this is against Roswell Smith right there in the Kai Davenport.
Great.
Good stick right there on the slot receiver. Here's in. Free safety. The tight end. Good job coming over, getting tackle. Nice job right there. Good short right there. Could have been a bigger. It's another Gainesville.
Tackling big side nibbler.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. 1-on-1 right there. Same thing. Good tackle. Good job bringing him down. Watch a couple more. Action right there. Picking up that. Yep. Yeah. Good reaction player, too, I would say. Yeah, good. Watch two more. Yeah, end around. Good job right there. Now let to the outside. Good wrap up tackle again. Okay, here we go. It's against Alpharetta. That was good. That's the last one we'll watch. We'll just replay that one more time to kind of break it down. So good job right here bringing the blitz, right? Getting Bordeaux off his spot. And he's 1-on-1 now. Again, Wilson, best receivers. So throws a good job to end it up. That was just about Craig. What's your thoughts and how I react?
I think when you're able to have pass breakups like that, it's great timing, but it's all about footwork. Turning your hips to the right spot, the closing speed. I just think you can tell he's really worked on his back pedal, on his difference. I mean, he was always in the right spot at the right time.
Yeah.
Just very impressive.
Yeah, I was impressed too. Back to Craig's point of just his closing speed, right? Being able to come all the way across the field, could tell that he works on that. His stamina is really good. But yeah, being able to close that speed, because sometimes you'll see as a safety, Craig, you'll be 1-on-1, like you'll be beat, but you can close down and get before the receiver do and get the PBU. I think that's crucial. So you're seeing that a lot with those good PBUs, good interceptions, very reactionary, gets to the ball pretty fast. And when he's 1-on-1 with somebody like a big Sky Niblet or a bigger receiver or tight end, he's able to make that tackle open tackle in space. So I think that's big.
Yep, he gets slow on the tackle, but it's like the drill when the coach is moving the ball, change of direction. He does the effort, whether it's going backwards, reacting, and the closing speed, the breakups. Some really impressive plays.
And we can tell, Griffin, that you study your film, man. So keep doing your thing. I know you are a senior, played in the Georgia League class last year. Appreciate you sending that over. Me and enjoy breaking it down.
Absolutely. Go Titans.
Yes, sir. All right, so we're going to move to our second segment. Got to talk about the big game, the Georgia-Alabama, and we got to react in the second segment. So we missed a lot of work in Saturday. But going back, looking at it, breaking it down, analysis, the reaction, just what were your thoughts on this?
Well, I thought Georgia could have lost any this season except that one, and they lost it. the early loss in the season, it wouldn't have mattered. That was the one they couldn't win. They scored first, and then just I thought defensively, I mean, Alabama really took it to them. Then you could tell at the end of the game they weren't winning that one. It was Alabama's day. They spin,
Yeah.
and
Stuck it to a
Georgia
rival.
went from number 1 to number 6 real fast.
Yeah, a lot of unprecedented history, right? You don't usually see a number 1 low. But I thought they hung tough as they could, but it goes back to the final drive was just the sign of the game, right? You couldn't get a stop deeply, right? Jalen Milroe on that play, 1st and 10, first play of the drive, he gets that long game, right? And then back to the missed opportunities for Georgia. That's what I really wanted to talk about, right? First half, you're down 7-10, you can be 10 field goal, right? Then on the other drive, you get 4th and 4, right? You get the stop there, huge. But Isaiah Bond comes up, former Buford receiver, with the 4th and 4 catch. It's crucial as well. He's been so clutch for them. Big 4th and goal at the 31-yard line. But I think that was crucial for them. Just to miss opportunities. If that 4th and 4, you get a stop, you're only down 3, right? Those little things make a difference because you lost by 3.
Yep.
You get the field, get the stop. That kind of makes a difference. So I think Georgia couldn't get stops when they needed to. That was a telltale sign of the game. I don't think Carson Beck did anything wrong. I thought he did what he could. But I thought too another telltale sign was that they cut so much separation. So you got to really credit the DBs and the secondary for Alabama because they plastered those receivers all game, and it was hard for them to get any separation.
For sure. Yeah, they were.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that people talked about, whether it's these other guys, is how good they are with their routes, creating that space. And the windows were super tight. Alabama's defense did a great job of covering and not personal fouls. They were right there over the back to knock it down. And Georgia just won. I mean, their first halves.
It wasn't good.
Yeah, they left tons of points on the board. They never came out just like in the big games. And I think Georgia played an easy schedule all year. And if you're going to do that, you better win the one game that matters. But
so next time, out there. So they'll play Florida State in the Orange Bowl. But I think Jalen Milroe he's improved ever since that benching, man. I think he's been playing some football, and that's why Bama's in his position for a team and the potential to contend for a championship. I mean, his play has been magnificent.
Yeah, I mean, this is an Alabama team that early in the season was looking for someone to kind of step up and say, I'm that guy. I'm going to do it. I'm going to get it done. And he's done that. And he's answered. He delivered them the biggest win of the year.
Yeah, for
to go out there and be like, no, I got you guys. Special. I'm going to do this.
Exactly. So that's how I react. And I thought, too, last thing before we move on, I thought usually you'll see that Georgia offensive line dominate. I don't think they had one of their dominating games. Like, okay, decent, but they didn't have one of those games you see opening up those really big holes for Kendall Milton, who did have 2 touchdowns. But you see it all year long. They're creating big holes and, time for Carson Beck. I don't think you've seen that in this game either.
I know. And when I was checking the game, people wouldn't drive. All these Georgia fans were like, oh, if we're going to have holes like that all game, good luck stopping us. And it's like, well, I guess they figured after that first drive.
They adjusted. Yeah, 100% did. Yeah, talked a little too soon, but that's our take. We were both wrong, but congrats to Bama for making it in. But let's react to the college football playoff reveal. Number 1, Michigan. Number 2, Washington. Number 3, Texas. Alabama. So what are your thoughts on all that? And obviously, we'll talk about Florida State in a second if they got robbed, but what do you just think of that top 4 reveal?
Well, Alabama had to get in. When you beat the number 1 team in the conference championship, you have to get in, and especially the 2 defending champions. So I know it was the state, but I don't know how you could argue that Alabama didn't belong. And so they got left out. They got definitely the short end of the stick, but I think it's the end chapter of the 4-game playoff. And it's a fitting ending to go controversial situation like this. But I think what they were saying is like, and even when you saw the Michigan room, I thought that was the most incredible video that they had to play Alabama and not Florida State. They straight up were like, oh, darn it. They did not want to play Alabama. And so I think that just.
Yeah, and I mean, not something you want to show an opponent either. I mean,
right?
that was their
that video was crazy.
Yeah, it is. And Alabama's like, oh, they don't want to play us. Like that could be easy. Just due to the fire for them. Like that's not something you want to show. If you're number one team, hey, we don't care who we play. Like that's the mindset you want to have. But I thought that was big. My thoughts is the committee. We'll talk about Florida State. They just not TCU situation. I know they beat them last year, right? They deserve to be in the national championship game. But I just think this year was the year. Okay, even though you're undefeated, and even though you won a Power 5 conference championship, it does not matter. To see the best four, which is, but we want 4 teams play against each other. We want to have, because you got to think about this too, Craig. We have not had a good semifinal match while playoff has kicked off. I think the best one was last year with Georgia and Ohio State. We have not had good semifinal matchups. They've all been blowouts. And I think the committee took upon themselves to say, hey, we want to have the best 4 teams in. We want to see some good football. We want it to be a good product on the field for fans.
There was only one other good one. I think the Rose Bowl in 2018.
They play Oklahoma. Yeah,
that's
it.
Yeah, that was it.
That's 2 games.
And then obviously last year, the Ohio State, Georgia, incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you can sit there and say like, okay, Florida State, they did everything. But at the same time, when you beat the number 1 team in the SEC, you're getting in, period.
How much they value
even
the
if
SEC?
Florida State 24 or 30 points, I still think Alabama would have gotten in.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to
you brought up a great point. The ACC, there weren't any other teams.
Yeah, and I got called out for it, but I said if you go look at the SEC had Missouri a 10-win team, right? They had Ole Miss a 10-win team. You got Georgia a 10-win team. They got 12 actually, and then Alabama. There's only a couple of teams like North Carolina. They were supposed to be a good team this year, 8 wins. Supposed to be good this year, 8 wins. Right? Louisville is the only other 10-win team in that conference this year, besides Florida State. So it kind of goes against you. Like the SEC had a 9-win team in LSU. So that kind of goes against you. And they're not going to put, in my opinion, they're going to go SEC over ACC. It's unfortunate because if you're Florida State and this goes south, did Florida State get robbed? To a degree, yes. And to a degree, no. Right? To a degree, yes, because you did everything you were supposed to do. You scheduled hard out of your conference. You scheduled LSU. You beat LSU, right? You've done everything you could. You won all your games, won your conference. But I think they did not want that same thing to happen, and they rewarded they thought objectively. It does suck because Jordan Travis went down. I think if Jordan Travis doesn't go down, I think they get in. You know, but that makes a difference because you don't have your star quarterback. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So, like I said, to a degree, yes, because you did everything you could. You scheduled hard. But to a degree, they wanted the best teams they thought, which is subjective.
Yeah, someone was going to get screwed over.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Florida State wins and then Alabama doesn't get in after beating Georgia? I mean, people would be up in arms. Like,
yeah.
So just, until next year. But I think it's going to be a great playoff.
I do too. I mean, I think he's going to have some of the best teams. I'm curious to see, like, just looking at it real quick. We'll break it down more, obviously, as it goes on. But a quick preview of it. You got Michigan and their dominant running game and really good offensive line, right? With Blake Corum and there's the running back Donovan Edwards and J.J. McCarthy. A lot of people think should be in the conversation. I don't think so. But, a really good team, right? And them, they're going to play Alabama, right? Do they have an answer with their really good defense for Jalen Milroe and Isaiah Bond and Jermaine Burton and their team? It's going to be an intriguing matchup. And then you look at Washington and Texas, right? Teams that don't play each other a lot. Texas having one of their better years. Quinn Ewers, phenomenal quarterback who's supposed to be back next year, right? Jonte Cook, Xavier Worthy. Washington beating Oregon for the second time in the Pac-12 championship. That was big for them, It's so many storylines. I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. So, we'll see. And then play Georgia.
Florida State plays Georgia in the Orange Bowl.
Yep. So we'll see.
And the funny thing was neither coach, I don't know if you've seen the Zoom picture, they were not thrilled.
No. That'll be an interesting one. We'll see how they come out effort-wise.
And before we talk about the bowl games, I want to ask you, Craig, do you think Georgia, even though they lost by 3 points and Bama fair and square, do you think that they can the playoff?
No.
And I was a Georgia fan too, so.
That was the one game of the season they couldn't lose, and they lost it. They knew that going in. They looked at the landscape, and Georgia fans cannot say anything because Florida State's out. I don't see how they could be upset about that. An undefeated conference champion didn't you guys lost your conference championship. You're out. Sucks, but that's just the way it is.
There you go. There you have it. That's his thoughts on that. But what bowl game are you most looking forward to? Obviously, we'll break these down as it comes closer in the next couple of weeks. But a couple for me, real quick. I think Georgia Tech, UCF, and right, two teams that had better years. I think they're recruiting very, very well. Some top classes. I think Georgia Tech has done a good job as well as far as recruiting. Had one of their better years. Bowl first bowl since 2017. So big time for them. I think UCF with Gus Malzahn is a program rise as well. I don't know how high I've been on Georgia Tech since last year. Now them being able to bowl game and being able to play some really good football. I think that's
Yeah, I think they're gonna beat UCF.
really. You don't think it's close?
No, I think they're gonna show up and win big
Interesting.
time. So I like that bowl game. It'll be interesting, but I really think that Tech, after competitive games all season, getting up for this bowl game, I think they're gonna give it all, and I think they'll win. Let's see. Ooh, Ohio State against Missouri. That's a fantastic matchup.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Missouri having one of their seasons in program history. Ohio State team that got left out, right? Obviously, really good. And we've seen Kyle McCord is transferring out. They're going to lose Marvin Harrison Jr., Julian Fleming as well, just transferred out. So a lot of things there. And there's some rumors that Cameron Ward is Ohio State, so that's something to watch as well. That's the Washington State quarterback who had a phenomenal season. He's transferring out as well. So I think that's going to be interesting to see.
For sure. Let's see who's in the Peach or Chick-fil-A.
Well, Craig,
Penn State, Ole Miss. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah, Penn State, Ole Miss is big. I got to go Troy. Troy's had one of their better seasons. Duke had a really good season, kind of down the stretch, but I think that was interesting. Back to State, Ole Miss, that offense with Jackson Dart against that Penn State defense, I think it's going to be one to behold as well. I think the next one I got Louisville, USC. Apparently, Caleb Williams is not playing in that game, Craig. So I think that'll be interesting to see for USC, and they're really studied offense go against that Louisville team.
Yep. You mentioned the Duke-Troy matchup, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that'll be. See, those intrigue me. Some of them obviously aren't the most exciting because I don't like when you have teams that underachieve during the season and might not be in the bowl play, which is a real thing.
Yeah, that is.
Like if you think you're going to be in I'm not going to call it individual bowls, but you think you're going to be in the Rose Bowl and you end up in the John's Bowl. I don't know. It's a little different, but yeah, we'll see. Clemson, Kentucky. I mean, that's a pretty solid game. I think Clemson has a lot to prove, though. Closing out their season
strong.
Yeah, I mean, they've had some really impressive games down the stretch, so I know they'll get up for that one. I definitely lean towards Clemson in that matchup. But yeah, Florida State, Georgia will be interesting. I think Georgia's going to handle business, though.
Yeah, I got to go LSU, Wisconsin. I think that's an interesting one as well. Jaden Daniels, who I think is a lock actually to win the Heisman Trophy, did a video on that as well. I know people don't agree with it, but I think one of the best seasons in college football. If you go with Bo Nix, I think if they beat Washington in that game, I think he's a lock. But being that they lost, the award to look for Jaden Daniels. So that's my opinion on that. And I got to go Oregon Liberty. I know that doesn't get talked about. It has one of Group 5 teams. Oregon had a season. Those two match up. You don't see that all. Apparently, Bo Nix is going to play. But I think seeing Oregon go against a really good Liberty team that's underrated in the Group 5, I think will be an intriguing matchup as well.
Yes, it is. That's going to be fun. So that's going to be right before the semifinal games.
Yep, the Fiesta Bowl. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then let's get one more. I was looking at. I think NC State, K-State will be good.
Yeah, I had that one circled too. Yep, NC State and Kansas State having a strong season. Won it here in the Big 12, actually. So, yeah, I think that's going to be interesting.
I like NC State this season.
Yeah, having a good year. But anything else that caught your eye in the college football program? Obviously, yesterday was the for portal. We talked a little bit about that. For any big ones that stood out to you? I think the Cameron Ward one's interesting. I think it's interesting. point we have not talked about, Craig, is colleges do it now. I know we've been talking about the players, but I think colleges now are saying like, hey, yeah, we suggest you transfer, or we suggest you go into the transfer portal. We're not looking to stay in the same direction with you. So I think it's interesting because it takes a NFL situation, because it's like if you're not performing, we can move on and go get a guy out of the portal. So I think that's kind of intriguing to see too. Obviously, I was giving to because it's like, well, why would you transfer? But I think some of this too has to do with colleges saying, hey, yeah, we're going to move in a different direction. Appreciate all your time. And then that lead into the player into the transfer portal.
Yeah, you're having like a lot more meetings at the end of the season about the future and the situation.
Yeah.
I said early on, it's like outgone. That's stressful. You can get cut at any time if you aren't performing, if you get hurt. And now everyone walk on unless you're you can get moved on pretty quick.
Yeah, you can. And I mean,
it's a lot more. Yeah,
I think that's what's puzzled me is like you got guys that are starting for you and they're moving into the portal. So it's like it's back to that point we talked off air, Craig, with like, okay, is it the players getting more money somewhere else? Or is it, I think the other situation that we is the college saying, hey, we're gonna go get another guy we think could be our scheme, our offensive coordinator, our program. So I think it's an interesting right now.
Yeah, it really is. That's tough on kids if they are in a situation where they kind of get persuaded to leave or go somewhere else and move in states if you have to. I mean, it's not even a lot of pressure, but I guess with that comes rewards and more opportunities. But the stakes are definitely high. I thought Brock Vandergrift, that's an interesting one. But
yeah, let's talk about that.
Sense.
Yeah. Now that one, Craig, I know too. I actually respect that because I think he did everything the right way. We obviously know about his dad, who was the head coach at Prince Ave, but I thought he did everything he could. Stayed with Georgia, stuck it out under Stim Bennett, right? Carson Beck won the job this year. I think Vandergrift just did a good job of being a complimentary veteran, coming in there every day, putting his head down. Just unfortunately work out, but spent all that time at UGA, going to graduate from there, and now has 2 more years of eligibility, and he's being actually played to Kentucky, which I think could be really interesting.
I was going to say, I think the perfect fit for him would be to stay within the conference, and a lot of teams in the SEC could use him. Start him right away. 100%.
Yeah. So for me, like situations like those, I definitely respect more because did it the right way. That's how it used to be done. You stay for 3-4 years. At that point, if you're not getting playing time, I completely understand. Like, go do what's best for you. The ones I don't like is like, okay, hey, I just freshman, first semester, I'm transferring out. First year, I'm transferring. Like that, I don't understand. That's not showing any like loyalty at all. It's like, so what's the point of committing to a school? You're only going to do a year, and then it's like, oh, okay, I'm going. I'll only do a semester. Oh, okay, I'm going. Like you're not showing any kind of, because Craig, and I want you to talk about your story a little bit. You were a walk-on, Craig. Like you have to earn that spot and earn that playing time. So I think a lot of times these kids feel entitled and they don't get what they want. Oh, but that's not like how life works, though. Like a lot of times you have to battle through adversity to get there. And I think that's why I like the kids that go for 2-3 years, finally get the playing time, and they show out because hey, I didn't get it to start. Now I'm getting in. Now all my hard work off.
Yeah, have the mindset where it's like you have one good season or one good stretch during the season, and it's like, okay, well now my stock's up. It's like you go to a school to give multiple years of a commitment, and I just don't think you have one good season. It's like you're gonna get before anyone would just say I'm too good for this place. You got to deliver results more than just one season.
That's exactly how I feel. So we're gonna see, but yeah, guys, we're gonna have more college news on here. We'll break it. Obviously, we know the football season coming down to a close. We'll probably talk a little bit more basketball as well, but we're gonna bring news, Georgia Tech, and national news now that the season is concluding. So this is a I don't want to say 24/7, but this is around the clock, I guess you could say. Just we're going to have news updates, even though the season's over. With any big news we see on the transfer portal across, we'll come on the show going after the season's over and talk about it a little bit and just kind of give a reaction. So looking forward to that. That's all I got.
I'm good. Let's get into the NFL.
Do it. So I seen some hot topics, and Craig, we got to talk about Philadelphia, and I seen some crazy stuff on the internet. It said, did you lose respect for Philadelphia after the loss to San Fran? And I'm just like, Tim, it just seemed like that game meant more than Fran than to Philly. They were overly emotional for no reason, in my opinion, as well. And I think, I'm going to be honest, it's a lot of phantom calls against Philly as well. I mean, if you go look at some of those plays and those coverages with A.J. Brown, he's getting held a lot, and it's not being called. Obviously, they got outclassed. Obviously, San Fran whooped them. But I think some of that, plays a factor as well. But I'm not going to say I've lost respect for Philly. They just got beat. Sometimes you need those whoopings mid-season, late season, in order to get yourself right and kind of hit on those deficiencies.
Yep. I said would win that game. You've been calling out the Philadelphia secondary, and Brock Purdy's been playing really well, and thought it was just a nightmare matchup for him. And yeah, San Francisco took it to him. Huge win. But yeah, as good as Philadelphia's been, as many wins they've picked up, they ran into San Fran at the wrong time.
Yeah, I agree.
100%.
And you got to think about this too. I know people don't want to talk about it, but they've played 3 games in 13 days, and San Fran's coming off 10 days of rest. Not giving that as an excuse, but you got to think about it. And then the Philly too. Think about this aspect. You can relate to this too. They played in 3 games in a row, right? The Bills, the Chiefs, right? That could be demoralizing as a team. But back to the secondary point, I mean, you've seen it. They got exposed. They ran the ball really well with Christian McCaffrey, right? That opened it up. The passing game downfield, and defensively, Philly has to be better. They're giving up an average of 29 points, Craig, in their last 5 games. That is not going to get it done. Defense has to be better.
Yeah, not saw what they did to because earlier this year. Teams. There was someone else they blew up, but yeah,
Cowboys.
I felt like that was the game. I just felt like Francisco was 100% going to win that game, but and every team's going to have a bad game.
That's how it goes, and they're going to rebound, and, they got to do the same thing. And we'll talk about the game from last night as well, Craig. But, yeah, I think Philly has to get back to, if I can say real quick, is just the running game, right? DeAndre Swift, only 6 touches, Craig. That's not going to get it done. You're passing the ball way too much. It's the same thing. Have some balance. That's what makes San Fran so good. I think they had 28 runs, Craig, 27 passes. That's what makes them so good. Kyle Shanahan's going to run the football. It's going to get you heels. That's why we love Walton and 7. They run it with Austin Williams and Makari Botiford. They're going to run Christian McCaffrey and Elijah Mitchell. That's all unstoppable because you have to get for the run and you over pursue. They're going to come on the other side with the reverse or play to kind of get you off balance. So that's what I think makes them so good.
Yeah, no, they're certainly dangerous. They're hot at the right time. I think having Brock back is a big deal. Yep. He's getting it done.
Yeah, 100%.
So, yeah, for sure. Debo's the man. Thought another interesting storyline, the Cowboys. I did not realize that. They said it was the 14th straight home win for them.
They are tough to beat at home. I thought it was a little concerning with that was Thursday night game. I was a little concerning with how the defense played. DK Metcalf went off. I think he had over 150 plus yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. So, but I mean, I think their offense carried them. I think that's been their Dak. Can the offense carry when the defense is not having a good game? When they don't have pick sixes, they don't have fumbles and turnovers, can Dak carry? And Dak showed he's playing some football. He's in that MVP conversation. He's been playing well. We're going to see, right? I'm almost in a reserve situation with that, Craig, because I want to see them play some top-tier teams. And if you go look at the schedule, Craig, real quick, and we're going to find out, and that's what I love about the NFL schedule. They got to play Philly this week. They got to play Bills on the road in Buffalo, who have a must-win game against y'all. We're going to talk about in this. Then they have the Dolphins on the road, and then they have the Lions. So we're going to find out about this Cowboys team in a little bit. I think that's going to be interesting. But back to your point, at home they have been another level.
Yeah, no, 14 straight is really impressive. But yeah, it's another great Wednesday night. But man, what do you think? Chargers that I saw. It's like we talk about what's wrong with that team. Yeah, they got the win, but what's wrong with that team? Like they got too much talent to only be putting up 6 points.
You just got to move on. I think my Bengals struggled with that for a long time with Marvin Lewis, who was a great coach for our franchise, turned us around. But there come situations where you have to move on, right? And I'll bring the Bengals back for just a second. When we lost the team game against the Steelers, like even though it sucked that we lost, like that should have been a moment we should have moved on. I think that moment for the Chargers was when they lost that 27-0 lead to Jacksonville. They should have moved on Staley. Now, I don't want to put it all on him, but your offense, you have 2 wins, right? See, Mike Williams is out. Jordan Palmer's been there. You still got Keenan Allen, who's a top 5 receiver in the game, right? You still got Joe Everett. You still got Clear. Like you got all these weapons offensively. Your offense should not only score 6 points against a team that's really in the Patriots is having a bad season. Regardless of how good the defense is, they have been awful. Okay, they've been awful. So I think that's what it is. And sometimes like when you get a loss like that, Craig, you're not really hearing out your coach. You're like, how did we lose that? Like you don't like what he's saying. You maybe you can attest to this. It doesn't resonate as much because it's like, yeah, okay, whatever. And I think that's what it is. They need a new to kind of resonate, a fresh voice in there, and to kind of hold them a little bit more accountable. That's what
Yeah, very interesting. So, nonetheless, but yeah, that just it's not the product anyone wants to do a 6-0 game in the NFL.
No.
And when you're just shutting them out, you points in that.
That's it.
Thought the Falcons getting the win. That's interesting. They've been solid after the bye, I guess.
Their first round exit, man.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I hate to say it. I mean, I know Jimmy loves the Falcons, but they're first round exit, man. They're not like, especially the Cowboys stay as a 5 seed. They're going in there and they're winning. No disrespect, But I mean, that was a good win on the. They beat a really good Jets defense who has been showing up for weeks, but you'll take the win.
Yep. The Chiefs. I mean, I watched that game when I saw how they were playing in the first half. In the past, it's like, oh, they'll turn it around. I knew they weren't winning that game. Jordan Love played well again.
What is your biggest concern when you look at the Chiefs this year and potentially defend your Super Bowl win? Do you think it's the receivers? Do you think it's the whole offense? Do you think it's the play calling? Like, what do you think? It just seems like the Chiefs are missing something that they usually have. Like, what do you think that is?
I think it's the whole offense, and which is the play calling. It's everything. We used to have teams just like it was almost like they're completely on their heels. They're trying to figure out where the ball is going, misdirection, Mahomes magic, you name it. This year, it's just not the same product.
No,
not. And like you watch it, and it's like, okay, that was a good play, but it's not consistent.
Yeah,
and there's no. I don't know. The deep ball's not there. They got good effort in the run game. They got some good receivers, the intermediates, but they don't have the big threat.
Yeah, they don't. Years past, y'all did. I think even last year, y'all had that in some ways. Was Valdez Skin, I think, is taking a step back this year. Last year, he was very potent for you guys down the field. You had Juju Smith-Schuster. Kadarius played really well last year as well. That struggle has kind of been there. But I think running game-wise, y'all have been great. But Pacheco, I mean, he was hard, man. He's another element that teams have to worry about. I think it's just been tough, but I think you guys will be there in the playoffs. It's going to be interesting. The AFC is a little bit tougher this year, I think. But I just think the Packers have been playing at another one. I think that's true. Y'all just kind of ran into that. Defensively, they've been playing really well, Craig, and they picked up a big win against the Lions. So I think they've been playing tough, but I like Love and how they've been playing has been impressive.
Yeah, I about knew in that game. I'm like, they aren't coming back from this one. It didn't look good.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see. They're still 8-4. But what did you think of the game last night? Bengals. See the season's not where it should be.
It's not.
Did the Bengals win or did Jacksonville lose it?
I'm going to say that I think the Bengals won that game. I know they missed field goal, obviously the holding call people have been talking about, but to go on a roll against an AFC contender, I know some people aren't sold on Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence, but I think if they won that game, Craig, they were number 1 seed. So I think regardless if you look at that playing when he got hurt, and it's unfortunate, I hope Trevor's okay, the game was tied. It was going back and forth Jacksonville. So I think it just goes to show the talent. And I'm going to be honest, Craig, I think that was the best coached offensive game plan that Zach Taylor's had in his career. Obviously, at some points, like the reverse and the Tyler Boyd turnover was tough. But you go look at the stat line and you go look at it, look how balanced we were, correct? 37 passes, 28 runs. They used our rookie, Chase Brown from Illinois, right? He was popping off big runs. They used Joe Mixon, who was in the game. All right, 50 yards, 60 yards rushing even. When you have that, Craig, and I know you probably get tired of me bringing up this point, but when you have that balance, it really matters because they don't know what you're going to do. They really don't. And that's what I loved. And I thought he called a really good game without his star quarterback. And our weapons stepped up. T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Jamar Chase is unbelievable. He's so fun to watch. And I just think game they won. We got to get our defense together. They did not have. But I thought offense one of the best call games I've seen Zach Taylor have in his career.
It was exciting for sure. Great game. Great game. Fun to watch.
Do you think Jacksonville? If you had to say, obviously you don't know severity of injury, do you think that messes with their chances to make the playoffs with Trevor going down?
Yeah, I just can. I don't know. They're inconsistent, and they just lose a lot of games where you think that they should win going in. I mean, I don't know how to say it any other way, but I just think they're a wild card exit. They aren't making it to the conference championship.
Interesting.
And I'm not sold on Trevor yet.
Interesting. Not sold on Trevor, and he's actually seen him play at Cartersville. So that is interesting, Craig. Okay, we're gonna see. But a couple more, and we're gonna get out of here for today. Appreciate everybody. Y'all comment below, like, comment, and subscribe. Gotta ask you this, Craig. Is Tyreek Hill the best offensive player in the NFL, or would you go Christian McCaffrey? We got Graham with a strong yes. Between those, or do you player you would throw in?
Man, that's a tough comparison because obviously, but I think he is. I mean, his numbers are absolutely insane. He's the biggest weapon. He does things no one else can do. No one else is that fast. He's the best right now, and yeah, he's just balling out.
I'm sure as a Chiefs fan, you're missing him.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I know we got this MVP conversation. I know Purdy's entered the conversation. I know Dak has. Obviously, Mahomes is always in there. But if Tyreek goes for 2,000 yards, and that's never been done in NFL history, and he already has 12 touchdowns and 91 catches, I think he deserves to win MVP. I mean, you don't see that every day, a 2,000-yard receiver. I think, obviously, he'll win Offensive Player of the Year, but I think if he goes over 2,000, he should win MVP too.
I 100% agree.
Yeah, I mean, this is the season he's having, what he's able to do with his size and defense. Surprisingly, in that Washington game, didn't double him. I mean, he's incredible, man. He's the reason why Miami's so good.
Yeah, he is so fun to watch. What a baller.
Yeah, 100%.
What a baller.
Yep. But all right, guys, we got one more topic. We're going to close out the show. Just best NFL games this weekend. I'm going to start with you. What games you got your eye on?
I like Ravens, Jags. That'll be a big one.
They play this week?
Yeah. Pretty sure.
What?
1 week off. My bad.
I was about to say, I didn't see that game.
Sorry.
Nah, no worries. I was about to say, that's a heck of a game.
Yeah, that'll be the game of the week next week. Yeah, you got to go Chiefs, Eagles, Cowboys.
Yeah, I think that's a gotta-have a game for the Bills, right? You lose, I think, unfortunately, if you want to kind of rebound, right? And we know what this, I don't know if you consider it rivalry, Craig, but we know how big of a game these two have had over the last couple of seasons. And in different stages right now in the season and for both teams, but I think it's a gotta-have a game for the Bills. And you got to go against a good team, and that's a loss. I think that's going to be one of the better games.
Yeah, it'll be at Arrowhead. Obviously, they had the tough loss to the Eagles there a couple weeks ago. I just think it'll be a good environment. I think the Bills are going to be in trouble.
And then the other one is the Cowboys. Eagles, after that big loss, Brandon looking to rebound. Luckily, Jalen Hurts didn't have a serious injury. He's in the concussion protocol, but look, he's going to be good to go. But a big win, big game, because if Cowboys win, they move into number one in the division. They split that, and his friend has an inside track to get that 1 seed as well, already having the head-to-head again, and the Cowboys, whoever wins. So that is big there. If you're Philly, you want to kind of stay afloat. You'll be a divisional who, like you said, has 14 straight home wins. So that's a big game for both.
Absolutely. And what happened the last time they played this season?
28-23. Dak tried to throw it to seed, came up short at the goal.
Okay.
Yep.
I think I like the Cowboys in this one.
Interesting. Greg is rolling with the Cowboys. It's a must-have it, man. You got to play your best ball. Got to get DeAndre Swift, Gainwell, involving Rashad Penny a little bit, get the running game, a little bit of pressure off for Hurts, get the ball to your receivers. I'm going with Philly with the potential upset. I know a lot of people are going to go Cowboys, but Philly, this will be good. You sweep your opponent. You get a 2-game lead, really a 3-game lead, because with the tiebreaker, big game, you want to stick it to your opponent and hand them their first loss in 15 games at home. So I'm rolling with Philly. And the last one, Greg, I want to talk about Seahawks 49ers. Gotta have a game. I think if you're Seattle, right? Obviously, you lost to Thursday night a couple weeks ago. 49ers looking at, like I said, pace. Seattle, if you want to make the play.
Certainly. 49ers just too good. It's a great West Coast matchup.
Yeah.
I'm going with the Niners. But yeah,
All right.
what are your tempered expectations for the Colts Bengals game?
I like how you said
and,
that.
and then the Jags Browns.
Yeah, let's talk about those two. I think for just do what you did this week, right? Obviously, we want to see the consistency, but you have a chance to stick it to two of your rivals. You still got to play the Browns, still got to play the Steelers that are on the season. So this whole team is in they're in a spot right now, but with the win, Craig, they're out of a playoff spot right now. So big game at home with your crowd. I'm just hoping they kind of do the same thing. Just lean on the rushing attack a little bit. Use more Chase Brown, just weapons. And I think defense got to play better. But I'm really, Craig, at this point, I'm just hoping for a good game. You know me, whatever happens, happens. If they get into the playoffs, against the playoffs, I don't have high expectations. Obviously, I like how Jake Brown had played, but, I'm tempering them a little bit. Yeah. So I just want to see a good game.
For sure. That will be an interesting one. See if they can keep this season going. And then Browns have gotten some big wins this season, but yeah, I think it's a must win for the Jags. They got to bounce back.
Yeah, and if you think too, the Browns are 7-5, they're hanging on to a playoff spot. Got some critical, like you said, early in the season, some big wins, but without Deshaun Watson, Dorian Thompson's in there now. But at home, you got to beat Jacksonville potentially without Lawrence. Going to have CJ Beathard. So I think, as you said, big game for Jacksonville. I think it's equally as big of a game for the Browns as well. And then, like you said, with Jacksonville, Houston is right on their neck. So.
Yep, great matchups again.
Yeah, so
we'll see.
We will. Yep.
Teams on the bye. Let's see, just the Cardinals and Commanders. So busy week of games.
Busy week, and a surprising win was for actually the Cardinals beating the Steelers. So that's an interesting one. Kenny for a long time. So yeah, look like the Steelers are struggling. Interesting to see how they kind of rebound a little bit. Messing with someone in the office. You're not paying me no mind, though. But that's all we got, guys. Appreciate you tuning in, man. We'll have more coverage, obviously, next week. Craig will be back tomorrow for his show, Drive for the GHSA state title. I'll be back Thursday. Appreciate you tuning in, and we'll next for more college football, high school, and obviously NFL. So all we got.